Welcome to Playing the Game podcast. Thank you for watching and welcome back. Today I have on Niall Guthrie Williams, and she has played sevens for New Zealand. She has played touch for New Zealand. She's won World Cup. She's won Olympic medals. She is an absolute champion. And I ask her what makes a champion. I ask her the best players she's played with. I ask her about the best coaches she's had coach, and ask her what she's now teaching to the future generation. So a lot to get out of this episode, and hope you're going to enjoy it. And remember, if you get one thing you learn, send to someone, make sure they can learn it as well. But apart from that, let's go. Episode 22. I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Always start with a very hard-hitting question. This one, I'm going to give you an option.
Okay.
So, would you rather, you can pick one language to master, a new language to master,
Yeah.
talk to one animal, or you can learn one skill?
You have to choose.
You have to choose one of those, and you can tell me from which one, what language or the instrument or whatever you're gonna.
Oh my
skill.
gosh. One language, one skill. I think from my experiences, I would love to learn a language. I'd love to learn Japanese. Probably because my time in Japan, every time I went, they're such beautiful people. They're probably the kindest community we went and visited, and so I would be love to conversate with them. But in today's world, my skill would be to learn, be the master of technology.
How do you go with technology at the moment?
I'm trash. I'm absolutely trash. I'm from that era where, we had computers as a subject in college, but it was like the big boxes under the big computers, and I never learned anything in it. And I'm still learning today, and my kids have to tell me how to do most of the stuff. Like the other day I put up a clip on Instagram, and it was like nothing great, but I said, I just got my oldest daughter Tatum Lee, can you take some clips? And then I said to her, can you make, the 30-second reel or whatever it was? Then she comes back in like 10 minutes and it's done. I was like, that would have taken me so long to do. But yeah, so to master technology would be great for myself.
I'm trying to, same thing. I'm getting a little bit older now, so I'm like, you're falling away from the young kids and like looking at you. But I feel like they can't make a PowerPoint presentation or something like that. It's very interesting, like the change. Like when you teach them, you're like, oh, just do this on PowerPoint or Word. They're like,
yeah.
what? But they can use technology so well. I'm really trying to stay up to date with AI because it's changing so fast. Yeah. But it's just too much. Apart from ChatGPT, of course. That's my
I don't know what that is. What's that?
Yeah. As a teacher, I'm like, kids are like, have you heard of that? No. Doing the staff room, look around, everyone's PowerPoints are all made from it. So obviously you have a quite decorated career. You played sevens, you played touch, you've won World Cups, you've won World Series, you've won Olympic medals. What are some of the highlights that you can recall that you think stick out to you?
Oh man, there's a few. I think, there's definitely a few that stand out to me. Probably off the top of my head, going to the Olympics is a massive achievement in itself, but to medal there was crazy. At the time, I was real disappointed because we came second and I got a silver medal. But looking back in hindsight, not everybody gets to go to Olympics in the first place, and then to come away with an actual medal was crazy. One of my other highlights in sevens would definitely have to be the 2018 Com Games, which was played here, actually, in Gold Coast, at my home ground now for the Titans. But I was there representing New Zealand, and we played Australia in the final, and one of my Gold Coast teammates, Savannah Pelite, was in the opposition playing for Australia, and we went to overtime and we beat them. And it was just I had I think about 20 family members in the crowd, and that's probably a campaign and a tournament that I think I'll always remember for the sake that my family was in the crowd, because they never really got to come to many games because we travelled around the world, and it's not like, hey, jump on a plane, come to Japan, come to USA, we didn't have that type of money, and everyone's living their lives. So to have them in the crowd was pretty cool. To win it against Australia in Australia was even more better. But I think we lost to Australia about 2 months prior at the in the Sydney Sevens. And I don't mean lost, like we got pumped, like it was 31-0. It was the worst like thrashing our team had in a very long time. It's probably up there, probably with one of the top biggest scores the team's lost by.
Yeah, wow.
And then so to, you know, have a turnaround in a couple of months and beat them on their home turf was, pretty cool, pretty special.
Was there anything within that team that you like stood out to you, like the energy, the aura, anything around that sort of made it anything unique in that campaign?
Yeah, by far was probably one of the hardest campaigns I've been a part of in terms of physically and mentally. We had 2 camps in Sunshine Coast, so we came from New Zealand to actually train in the hot weather. I remember it's the only time I've ever been like, I can't wait to get into an ice bath. But we physically like left no stone unturned. We so obviously a sevens game is 2 halves of 7 minutes, but we would play like sometimes 4 12-minute quarters in our training session to replicate games. And if you've ever played sevens, it's like just high intensity. There's no drop off. So 4 12-minute quarters in like 38-degree heat, muggy, is pretty tough. And I just remember like it was like we were a team, but it was also like you versus me. Because we were
training,
in every single training, every single weight session, everything we did, it was like you knew you were fighting for a spot because you wanted to be a part of that 12 that got selected in our travelling reserve, because you knew something special was coming by the way we were training. We just went up another level, and our coach at the time, Alan Bunting, he just pushed us to new levels that I didn't think our team could and myself could achieve. And and the camaraderie that comes with that, being able to fight against your mate on the field but leave the field and also hope the best for each other. Like, I really do hope you make it, but I also hope I make it. So it was real crazy. Just that really sticks out in my mind.
I think that's a mindset that gets lost now. I'm going to train against you. I'm going to go as hard as I can. And we're going to go head to head. But I'm doing it because I respect you and I want to get the best out of you. Whereas training, like obviously work at keeper and like some of the girls, sometimes they don't want to hurt each other. They don't want to like, their friend, I can't go. And it's like, but you're actually helping them. It's sort of like when you give someone advice or feedback and it's harsh feedback and it hurts and you're like, well, I'm sorry to say this, but it's because I want to make you a better person. So I think it's really saying, and I think you do that well when at school is like you sort of, hey, look, we're here, but we're going to rip in and we're going to go 100% because iron sharpens iron, and that's what we're sort of looking for.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny you say that because a lot of girls over the years when we would come into the team, in and out of the team, and literally I can't even remember the amount of times those girls would say after a session on field would come up and be like, oh, are you and Gossie, like Sarah Hiddeny, or you and Ruby Tui, like, are you guys all good? Or because we would literally be swearing at each other on the field, and it would be some stupid drill and they've gone and done something that wasn't supposed, and you're like, you're not allowed, and you're F you, and you're just going at each other and you're literally ripping each other's head off and you're contesting at the ruck, and like you said, you're just iron is sharpening iron at the end of the day. So, and you'd get off and they'd be like, yeah, everything all good, like kind of weary, and you'd be like, yeah, all good, like what's going on? They're like, oh no, because you just had a go at each other on the field. I'm like, yeah, that's on the field, mate. Like I know she's yelling at me because she's trying to get better, and in return I'll get better, and then in return our team will get better. And people don't, like, I do feel like that's lost because I think for 2 reasons. One, it's not cool to be seen going Harry hard out at training sessions. That's what I think.
You're a sweat, as the kids like to say these days.
Yeah. And then the second reason is, like you said, it's an uncomfortable thing to do. So it's uncomfortable to be like, I'm just going to rip your head off, or I'm going to go as hard as I can because that's what we're supposed to do. And if, like, that could, I guess, not ruin, but upset our friendship maybe. But maybe that's a maturity thing too. Like, I think about it, I was playing with women. But some of these young girls came into that team and they really, they quickly learned what we were about, the levels we train at, that it's all stays on field and it's only trying to get each other better. And once you learn that, then you can start to process, okay, this is all for the better of us and the team. Yeah.
I think it's the fear of failure as well. Like you talk about trying, and it's like, oh, if I try, but what if everyone sees me fail? And it's that little bit of imposter syndrome maybe when you're going into and you talk about how you progress into a women's team, I guess. It sort of changes. What are some of the things you've learnt? You're at Titans now. You've obviously played Silver Ferns as the Sevens team.
Blackfern Sevens.
Blackfern, sorry, yeah.
Yep.
What are some of the key lessons you've learnt from other people around you?
I think a massive learning for myself and what's like driven me to success and not have that imposter syndrome or be ashamed to just go hard out is my touch coach, Peter Walters, Sir Peter Walters. He's the man. When I was, I think 12 was when he first kind of picked me up. He created the Touch Club Galaxy, and it's worldwide now. And so he actually created that. And I was playing for a family team, and he said, "Oh, you want to come play for Galaxy?" And obviously saw some potential there. And I said, yeah. So I went over and played. But the fact he threw me in an opens team straight away, and he never talked to me like I was a child. He talked to me like I was an athlete. And so he said, this is your skill set. This is what I expect of you. Not, hey, you're a 12-year-old playing with open, so you can just go stand on the wing and, you know what I mean? And I really frothed that. I think I thrived from that. And I thrived from that opportunity to go head to head with an adult. And so I think that's what's helped me be so successful in the coming years is because I, from an early age, got to experience going up against more mature people and seeing how it's done and also being treated, not like taking my youth away, but just being treated to what the standards and that he thought I could do at such an early age, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's just having it being, obviously he was a great coach, so he could acknowledge that. He's like, okay, I'm going to see that you are someone who's going to take up to the challenge and rise to the level of that I'm going to set you up, which is pretty cool. What other coaches have you had, or could be the same? So Peter, have they taught you, what do you think makes a good coach and how do they create an environment that people want to be in?
Yeah, so our coach, Alan Bunting, we call him Bunts, he was pretty much my coach through the whole of Sevens. He was awesome and he really kind of honed down on that culture side of things and he's kind of renowned for it now, but he brought in the no shit approach. We are going to be good people. We're going to train hard. And if there's a problem, we bring it to the forefront straight away and we talk about it, we resolve it and we move forward. And so in a female environment, that's probably one of the biggest things you need to get under control really quickly is your culture and how girls are around each other because really quickly you can have these little conversations and then they move to the bedroom and then they move, you know what I mean? Like Chinese whispers and then people. So he was really great in saying, when I first came in, I was still Sean Horan and then he moved on. And then that next year when he, after Olympics, when he took over, he said, okay, this is going to be my leadership group. And he said, you're going to be in it. And I was a little bit, because I was quite new to the team, but I knew the impact and the environment that I wanted all the girls who were going to be coming in the team to be in. I wanted them to feel like when they came in, this is going to be a safe space. I feel welcomed. I feel like I have the right to go hard at training to try and take your spot, even if it is my first year. And because all of us, we wanted girls, as the years go on, you want people to compete with you because you want to get better. You don't want to just get picked because you're getting picked. You want to be like, oh yeah, I've got to actually work hard and she's challenging me for my spot, and so I need to make sure I still earn that spot. And he was massive in that, bringing in girls and being like, no one's selected yet, we're all on the same par and you have to work hard to get your spot. And so the culture side of it was massive. We were all able to, where we're from, we would go back to Marais and have camps there and would have connection camps, walk to the top of the mountain and talk about our team. Everyone got to say stuff. And I think just from that and being able to, we created a thing called Sisters Chat, and literally it would just no management, just the players. You'd sit down and you could bring up anything you wanted to, and there was no judgment, and you just sometimes you got to have it out with someone, like, hey, blah, 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 I don't like the way you went about, or I don't like how you acted on tour. And, and even for myself, a couple of times, like, like you go on tour and the last night you get on the piss. And even one time I remember tour came back and I was just like, probably too sloppy, and I got called up from the other leadership group. They said, hey, like, that's probably not the look we want. You're in the leadership. And I said, yeah, fair enough. That's my bad. I apologize. Go apologize to the team. I should be better. But not just saying it, like actually meaning it. And I think them pulling me up, just like myself was in moments where we had to pull up other people. It's cool. Like it creates those standards, but you also know it's because it's coming from a good place. So, yeah.
Standards are so important, especially with culture, and it's hard to embed, and it's very hard to, I guess, start would probably be the hardest thing, because you got people who are going to buy in, especially when you sort of says a change of coach and change leadership, always do things like this. People still buy into the old systems, but I like the new way, so it is very hard. You talk about how you were part of that leadership, and I think I would assume in the Titans group you would definitely be a leader now, and I think with Samoa you went away and that was very much a role to help give back. What are some of the things you're trying to teach this new generation coming through now?
Yeah, I've always said, like, my motto I live by is dream big, work hard, and those are massive for me, because I don't think if I didn't dream big and think all these things were possible and be uncomfortable to go from play 3 codes inside of a year and a half, which, I wouldn't have done it if I didn't have that philosophy. And then my biggest one is the work hard. And I think we're losing that a little bit. And the reason, there's lots of reasons, but another one one that comes to the top of my head is because there's so many opportunities. And when there's so many opportunities, sometimes people take for granted the work ethic you have to actually get into it, because it's like, oh, I'll just go make this team then. Or I'll just go and I'll get selected here because blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And so my thing's always been like, yeah, you get into an environment and you work hard. And that's what I'm trying to teach these girls coming through. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. You're always, like me, you're always open to learning. I'm still learning stuff now. Like I'm still a baby in league years, I'm still at Kibra, and you guys, the coaches, I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm learning stuff too. So by no means I've never learnt everything. And even if I went back to sevens, I see the girls playing on the World Series now, and they're doing new things. Like they've created new ways of doing stuff and that. And so you're always a learner of the game too. And for these girls just to understand, like, you got to work as hard as you can, because at the end of the day, there's about 100 more girls who are waiting at the doorstep, just waiting for you to fail, waiting for you to get injured so they can take your spot. And that's just the harsh reality of the world and of the sporting world. And so you need to work hard. You need to show the coach those extra, the 1%ers. Go out, set the cones up. Go fill the bottles up. Go, say, hey, miss, I had a look at the clips when you didn't have to look at the clips. And I saw this in my game. How can I, like... all of that stuff coaches see, and your teammates, like your teammates will be like, hey, like that's my mate. What are you up to? Oh, I'm just going to go cut some clips. Oh, I'll come cut some clips too. You feed off each other. And so that willingness to work harder than what's expected is a massive thing that I've always tried to preach and help the girls, become. Yeah.
Work harder than what's expected. That's good.
Yeah.
The one thing I've come back to Kibra this year, and I'm really trying to, when we talk about goal setting and the outcome, and I think sometimes we get lost in the winning, but it's like the person that you become in the process of the winning. Like, it's okay, I'm gonna do extras now because I want to make the team. And it's like, yeah, but in the process of doing that, look, you've done extras, you learn how to work hard, you learn how to do certain drills, develop these skills. I said to the one of the teams I was working with the other day, it's like they didn't make the A team, so I was just trying to say, hey, look, one, it's not the end, but two, one opportunity for you to show that the teachers were wrong. It's like, so next time you get to training, you're going to jog to every single drill. You're going to be the first person there. Like the first person, you notice the first person. If someone's there and everyone's walking and someone runs up to you and they're standing right in front of you, hey, sir, like that is the instant. Like you're going to notice them like, oh, like you're a bit taken back sometimes. They run up to you and you're like, hey, how you going? Like, okay, sweet. So yeah, it's just those little 1% things. I think we talk about how like hard work is sort of lost, and I think we forget about the little boring things we can do. Like when we were doing the mindset stuff the other day, one of the girls was like, "Oh, this is pretty boring," and I'm like, "It can be if you take that approach, but think about how many boring things other people wouldn't do because it's too boring. One opportunity for you to get a leg up because it's too boring for everyone else to do." So yeah, definitely I like that insight.
Yeah, it's I like a little story. I remember when I was in the sevens circuit and I was coming back from my neck injury. So I had surgery on my neck and I was trying to get right, and I really wanted to make a certain tournament. And we had the trials and I went okay. I wasn't like terrible, but I wasn't probably like great. And so I was kind of like, oh, I don't know, and then I got called in and they said, hey, look, and it was, you're not selected for this tournament. And it was legit the first tournament I'd had in my like 9-year career that I didn't get selected based on performance. Every other time I had it, it was always due to injury. So, but the coach at the time didn't actually know that. And I took it real, like I was like, oh my God. And, I left and I was crying and all the emotions, and it's all good because I know when you cry, it means so much to you. That's how the perception I have, and that's what it feels to me. And so I was really like gutted, and then I went away and I just like had my time, and then I came back and I said to the coaches, okay, sweet, what's the stuff I need to tick off to make sure I'm in this next team? Because the next selection was to go to the World Cup. Like that was the next tournament. And so if you don't play that tournament before, kind of it's like a little bit like it's really hard, you know? And they just said like, this is what we think, blah, blah, blah. And then they gave me some things to work on. And then I took it upon myself that the group who didn't get selected, I was like, yeah, I'm going to lead this team, and I'm not only going to make myself better, but I'm going to make all these girls who are back here who missed out too, we're all going to be better. And so I just like for the 3 weeks they were away at that tournament, I just went to town like on the girls, and I was like, this is like meeting with the coaches that we had left behind who helps in that. These are the schedules, this is what we're doing, helping set the times up, training, going hard, just doing everything I can, all the 1%ers, the recovery, making sure the girls filled out all the forms, like just went so hard out. And then when they returned and we had that first week of training back, the coaches were like so impressed with everybody in that. And I just think like I still led too in that space, and I felt like I helped them to bring them closer to that gap of of the girls who went to go and that missing out. We were so much closer, and that kind of reminds me of that bit. Like I was so disappointed and gutted, but the perspective I had is I never want to feel that feeling again. I could have just said, oh, it's only because it's my first one back from my neck surgery, so it's all good. But I was like the opposite. I was like, no, you had the same amount of time too of training, and you'd played in that same trial, so you had the same opportunity and you missed out, and that was on you, your performance. So that was just a little story about that perspective of the trying to come from another angle. Yeah.
I've been reading, I know at school we've been doing the above the line type mentality. So I'm starting to read the book on it because I want to help teach you better and understand it better. And one of the things he mentioned, he says O plus E equals R. So it's outcomes and events equal how you respond. So he talks about like sort of similar to that, reminded me, it's like, okay, the outcome was I didn't make the team. Ooh, and he talks about B, C, D. So it's like bitching, complaining, and something else. He's like, we don't do that. So yeah, so it's very interesting. It's like, okay, this is the event, this is the outcome. How we're going to respond to it? Are we going to kick stones? We're going to say, damn, coaches have favorites. Oh, it's because my hemi's sore. It's because of this. Or no, we're going to say, okay, how can I now get better? I do notice that you have that dog in you. You definitely do. We were in the gym the other day, and we were talking to Brendan, and he sort of said, I love that feeling when you tackle someone and they go, yeah. And it's like, it's that little thing. Do you think, have you always had that growing up with your siblings? So how many siblings do you have? Is it 3?
Yeah.
So your siblings?
I got a twin sister and 2 older brothers.
Yeah. Do you always competitive? Was it in that environment that you learned that, or is it sort of just something, where did that come from?
Oh, 100%. Like, their fun game for us, my older brothers, was run it straight down the hallway and so they could smash us. And then it was like, so we used to sprint down the hallway into the lounge room, and they would be waiting there on their knees, and we were holding a cushion that was the ball. And because we were just like the little sisters, we just wanted to play off our book because we were cool enough, you know. So they would always have games with everyone in the street, like everyone would come play cricket and please, we want to play, like, and they'll be like, oh, fine, okay. So they'll go, my oldest brother John Arthur would come down and do like a full handy-ass bowl, because he was really good at cricket, bowl us out on the first one. Yeah, sweet, go back to fielding in like another hour of fielding, you know, and you're just like, next time I get in, I'm going to hit the ball. And so, but yeah, for sure, like we used to run down the hallway into the lounge room, and they would legit be sitting there on their knees, and they would just absolutely smoke us. And our goal was to get past them and score the try on the couch, like put the ball, slam it down. We never did, but like I remember it's like tears running down your face, and because they said like if you cry you can't play with us anymore. Like, so you were just, yeah, from a young age. And I had a twin sister, so I have a twin sister, Denise, and she was always like stronger than me, faster than me, and so I always wanted to compete. And like we actually got put into athletics, Roscoe South Athletics Club, when we were young, and I think that was another thing that helped us, because I always say like I have such big admiration for individual athletes, like solo athletes, like to be, everything's on your shoulders. You don't have a teammate like, I'm tired, I'm some of your teammates running past you to cover that space. No, there's none of that. It's like all on you. And so I've learned that from athletics. You line up on the track and it's only you that can run that race. Like if you lose, you lose. If you win, you win. So it's even more, you feel.
The highs are high, the lows
are
low.
So I think that was another reason too why when I thrived when I went into a team environment. I was like, damn, all these people are helping me to achieve this goal. It's great. But definitely I had that mentality like when I stepped on, I'm like, I'm winning this race. I don't care. Like I'd feel sick and nervous and that, but I'd be like, when you win and you beat them, you're going to feel great. And so that mixed with getting smashed at home by our brothers, like we would play go home, stay home. Like you'd lose 46 games in a row, but then one you'd win and you'd be like, yes, I'm the greatest. And like some of the stories from home from my brothers and like I remember my brothers, you would always know when my brothers had a fight, because you would come home and you'd walk down the pathway, and in the garden by the house would be one of them, all their trophies, like thrown out the window, the medals, all their stuff that they had won thrown out. I'm like, oh, they beat them in something, you know, like, so we were very competitive, yeah.
I was watching a video the other day and they talked about, it wasn't the younger brother syndrome, but it was something along that. And this dude that was talking to this younger brother, and they were playing cricket, and his older brother was pretty good, and he'd bowl him, and the younger brother never won. Never, ever won.
Yeah.
And then one day he got older and they kept going, and he got to one day and he just hit this pure shot and it just went past him, and his brother was just like surprised looking at him, and he had to walk off and get it, and his little brother was standing there. He's like, that was the best feeling of my life. He's like, what did I do? All right, so I hit the bat straight and I pushed forward. And he's like, ever since that moment, I went on. My older brother never played with me again. And then the younger brother ended up going and playing like professional cricket.
Oh,
and they talk about, it's like a bit of a thing,
good,
because when you're so young and your older brother, all you want to do is just show them how good you are, but you never win. You always had a disadvantage. And it teaches you that mindset of, I'm at such a disadvantage that when you finally break through and you get the win, it's just, it's 10 times better and you love it.
And you want to like replicate that feeling.
Yeah.
So you're just like, I need to get this again. I need to get this again. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. You talked about your neck injury before.
Yeah.
So that was, what year was that?
Oh, it was the year of the Olympics. So I hurt my neck like literally 3 weeks out from leaving to go to Tokyo. Oh wait, Tokyo Olympics.
Yeah.
So that, I can't remember, 2024, 4 years, 2020?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's right. It was in 2021 because of the COVID.
COVID.
Yeah, so 2021.
I was doing a bit of research and there was a bit of a touch and go there where you'd never play again. What was that like? What's your mindset going through something like that?
Oh, you have to quickly regulate your feelings, because your life is like, your actual quality of life is up in the air, and you have to regulate all these feelings that you have about missing out on a team to go to the Olympics that you've trained for the last, pretty much 5 years of your life. You've put everything you can, you train every single day, go to all these tournaments, you've gotten through injuries, you've sacrificed time with your family, you've missed big milestones for that one team to make that team, and then you get told, you're not going, but also you could never play again. And also if you do get injured, like, you could be paralyzed, you're this close. And so all of a sudden it's like feels unfair that you have to put away all these emotions that you're feeling about that whole situation, because you have to focus on, okay, what's the best plan for me for quality of life going forward outside of that, when that's been your life. And I think that was the hardest thing for me. Like, yeah, it was bloody hard missing out, and I thought, oh, this is so unfair and the world hates me and blah, blah, blah. But then to sit there and go, oh my God, like I was this close to being paralyzed, I have to decide. We have to wait like 6 to 8 weeks to see, because I had 2 bulging discs and they were both pushing onto my spinal cord. And so if you get the 2 discs replaced, then you can't play anymore, because it's 2. If you think of a spine and there's 2, if you think of a stick, right, and you put a metal bit in the middle of a stick, if they got hit, it would just crack at that top. Whereas if you have one movable, it's more likely to, which is what I got. So at the end of that 8 weeks, so it was like for 8 weeks, I'm wondering, am I going to play again? Am I not? And then I'm like, oh, the team's left to go to Tokyo without me. And so you've just got all these conflicting emotions going on, and you're like, I want to be sad for that, but then I still don't know if I can play. And I'm just like, I'm just in crazy land.
Yeah.
And then the 8 weeks come and we rescan, and then they're like, hey, one's resolved, so one's come back off. So you only need surgery on one. And it's kind of like, in that one moment, all I thought was like, I'm the most luckiest person in the world. And that doesn't matter to me as much. Like, I'm not going to lie and say it doesn't matter at all, because it did. But that is nothing compared to the news I just got. That is the best news. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, it was like definitely a roller coaster, definitely trying to find where I put my emotions and I don't know. I was just like, you can tell right now thinking about it all, and it all coming back to me. It was a really crazy time in my life. Yeah.
Did it change? You sort of mentioned there, like when you came back to sport, were you just sort of so grateful? You on running on the field, just like, yeah. Just having that excitement.
Oh, the first time I got to like train, we were actually in Fiji, so the girls were going to play a tournament in Fiji, and they said, oh, we don't want to like lose traction of how you're going, so you'll come to Fiji with us, and you'll actually help, because we had a new manager at the time, so you'll help her with how things are run, because sevens is really, I don't know if you watch, but the games are at like 4:43, so it's all down to the minute. So everything you do in the change rooms, everything is right down to the minute, like 2:46, put your boots on kind of. So I was helping the manager with that stuff, and I got to train in the heat and alongside, but that was the first time I got to do some contact, and they wanted me to be with them and with the physio and that while I done it. And I remember like, I was so fucked, like, because of the heat and that, and I still wasn't game conditioned, but I did like these little drills, but man, when I got to hit the coach and like do these tackles and stuff, just that feeling, I was just like so grateful to be back in my happy place. Yeah, it was. I knew at that moment that it could have been taken away from me forever, so I just enjoyed it.
Enjoy every moment. You obviously coming back from an injury now. How's the rehab been? And we sort of spoke, like when you do rehab, you're sort of in that other group and you see everyone on the field. Does it sort of still hurt as much seeing everyone now and there? Are you still trying to lift the rehab group up? How's that going? Yeah,
so I obviously did my Liz Frank, and I think there was still about 3 rounds to go last year in the NRW comp. And I didn't realize at the time how bad the injury is. Like, I was like, because I'd never heard of it. And then when I finally got told, like, oh, it's like the ACL of your foot, I was like, oh, because I did my ACL when I was 19. I was like, oh, great. And and for the first part, I was like, in the gym, there was this great group of girls who were all coming back from their ACLs. For the Titans girls, there's like 3 young girls, and they've been so awesome, and they've been training the house down. So it was actually quite uplifting to be around them, and they were the energy bubble, because I had obviously just done it and I couldn't do much, but they brought the and I just thought, man, like, it was really cool to see young girls be like that. But in return, every now and again, they would come and ask me some questions and like, how's this and da-da-da. And so we kind of fed off each other, which was really, really cool. I'm not going to lie. So I've only just started to get back into running now. So, yesterday or the day before I did my third running session back, and I was moving in places I don't usually move. The breathing was out the gate. And I just went back to that moment like, hey, look at you, you're back on the field again. So you're already 3 steps ahead of where you were last year. You were before Christmas when I had a setback with my foot saying, I just can't wait to run. Like, what a great feeling. So now that you're running, don't be a dick and be like, da-da-da, like, this is where you wanted to be. So you're ticking off boxes. But the thing I always go back to is when we talk about those 1% extras, and the hardest part being injured is seeing the girls who are doing heaps of preseason training, because I know now they're this, and that's that standards thing is like, if I had my foot was good, I'd be in every single one of those sessions, because I know come when our preseason does start, you're already up here. So that's the fight I'm having in my head mentally now, is saying, no, it's okay to be here because of your foot. If you push too hard, you could re-injure. But also going, oh man, those like jealous, like they get to get all those extras in.
To get up, yeah. It's interesting you talk about like that mindset shift that you had. I remember before Christmas, all we wanted to do was run. Now we're running. Now we want to be here. As humans and athletes especially, we have such high standards, and we always move our goalposts. I had this thought the other day. If I look back at 15-year-old me of what I've accomplished, like, I probably wouldn't believe it. Just like little things, like being able to own a house, being able to have this podcast and chat to people, like chatting to you. I've had guests who I used to, like Matt Schramer, people I used to look up to when I was younger, and get to work with like Todd Carney at school. And I'm like looking like, what? Like every day is such a good opportunity. Like you're always moving the goalposts, and even still, I still have days where I'm like, yeah, but like look what they've got, or look what they've got. But there's people that probably do that to me, and like look what you've got. So
100.
It's very important to have that mindset shift of, yes, you want to be better, and definitely always have that hunger to be the best version of yourself, but make sure that you just take some time to appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that. Yeah.
I think Kevin Durant, in his MVP acceptance speech, he thanks his mum firstly, but then he's like, and I also want to thank me.
Yeah.
I think it's him. It's a real good one. It's like, I want to thank me for doing the early morning training. I want to thank me for turning up when it gets hard. I want to thank me for doing those things. And people don't thank themselves enough. Like, especially when you're doing your rehab. I think it might be a little bit different for you, not really, but you're a professional, so that is sort of that standard. You've got the contract, you have to do that. But people who just do that rehab and do the extra work just because, they want to, and they want to be the best version of themselves, it's good to take some time and be like, I'm proud of you for getting up at 4 and going for a run, because it sucked.
Yeah.
What's been the biggest change or difference you've noticed since coming to rugby league?
Oh, lots. I think coming to rugby league from being a full-time professional athlete to here has really helped my transition back into the real world, especially in this last year. The first year I was kind of still, when I first came over to Titans, still kind of living the dream a little bit, because my family stayed back in New Zealand. So I was here by myself, and I didn't have, I was just doing, it wasn't until halfway through the season where I started kind of picking up a little bit of work at Kibra. So I was kind of at home, and I had the whole day, like I'd train it. Obviously our training hours are 4 to 8. So during the day I'd just do stuff that was going to help me be better, like recovery or Pilates or whatever, I wanted to do that was going to help me be in a better position to train well, play well. I had that luxury still. This last year, oh my God, I'm so tired all the time. But I've definitely gone from that full-time athlete, and I always say, like, man, if you can be a full-time pro athlete, do it, because you're literally living the dream. You get to wake up at the nice hours in terms of your training hours. Like, you get to train from 10 to 12. That's what we did. Like, and then you have your gym session afternoon, and you're home by 4, and it's great. And you have your weekends. And then I came to rugby league. Holy, and I say this wholeheartedly, I have so much respect for the girls in the NRLW. The fact that like I get up and I work, like if it's a Kibra day, I'll do 8:40 to 2:40, home, drop the kids, and then training is a 4 to 8 p.m. And you just do that, and that will be 3 to 4 times in preseason week. And then when the season rolls around, it's like 3 times during the week, and you're traveling on a weekend, you're coming home. And so some of the girls in that Titans team when that year I came, so they would be working the whole day training, and some of them had shift work. So they would also like train 4 to 8, and then they'd be getting in their work gears because they started at 10 and they'd work to 6 a.m, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, people don't understand the quality you're seeing in the weekend from these NRLW players is amazing if you actually look at what their lifestyle's like. They don't get what the men's get, and they don't get the same amount of money, but they work just as hard, and they're working during the day. So they don't have any downtime, you know, or some might be studying during the day straight from school, or they might be doing apprenticeships or whatever during that day, because there's an allocated amount of time of hours you have to do that too before you, which is great, like, you know, but just, yeah, that was the biggest difference. So the first week I came, I remember because of the time difference too, because there were 3 hours, I was literally like trying to get up for training, but in New Zealand, I'd be getting ready for bed. And I'm like yawning. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So yeah, massive ups to the girls in the NRLW currently too. It's been such a big change for me. But like I said, that transition, going back into the real world, it's been awesome for me to work, be mum, and still have footy, and then slowly, like, you know, it'll be just work and mum life. But I think it's been the best thing for me ever to, if I just finished sevens and then I was just like work and mum, I'd be like, oh hell no, this is too hard. I can't do this. But being able to have this life too, I'm very grateful. Yeah.
That's good. What are the plans for after football? What are you thinking? What's on the cards?
Oh, so many people are like, you need to go and coach this and that. And I don't know. I just like, I love coaching girls, but I'm definitely not, like, maybe in sevens I could definitely work my way up to the top league. I feel like I'm still a learner of the game. So I love helping where I can help, but probably with someone. But I definitely want to get into some like coaching, but just build my way up there. But something that I'm real massive in is like, I want to help girls or boys, doesn't matter, athletes who are transitioning into the pro world, from non-pro, and just helping them to really understand what they have, all the things that helped me to make sure you took that opportunity and didn't let it pass. I think kids, and I've seen it heaps in the sevens program, they come from living at home with their mum, everything getting done for them, to moving away, and okay, you got to go thrive. So you got to be this great athlete and turn up and be the best you can be, but also all the best with the off-field stuff. Some of them don't even know how to write a CV, or some of them don't even know how to get a reference to get a house, you know, like to rent a house, or those, they don't know how to do a shopping, what kind of food they should buy. You know, like there's the nutritionist telling them stuff, but I think we're really missing that personal touch from people who have been there and done that before. That's the connection I think I'd like to think that I have with these girls at Kibra, is because I've walked my talk.
Yeah.
And so when I say that this can help, I know from experience. I'm not just reading a book and telling you this is what this book says, like, if that makes sense. So more personal touch. And yeah, I just want to see kids thrive and not miss opportunities, especially having my own kids. And sometimes I look at my oldest daughter at Kibra and I see her training and I'm like, oh my God, like it is just like, I just want to be like, run harder and do this. But you know what I mean? So I just, in ways that I can, I want to help kids thrive and reach their potential.
I guess that is for people who are just going to the professional world. What advice or help would you get people who are maybe just before, maybe the opens, maybe you're sort of in those later years of high school, you're trying to get into the professional world. What is some advice you would sort of help them with?
Yeah, the first and foremost is it's never too late. Like, I made my professional debut at 27 years old. 2 kids, already had 2 kids.
Is that for sevens?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it's there's, like I said earlier on, there's lots of opportunity out there. It's just, what are you willing to do to take that opportunity? Are you willing to go into uncomfortable positions? Are you willing to put yourself out there in a place where no one knows you? Go to new spaces if it's not working here, and you've pretty much tried everything you can do, and that coach and that particular team just says, hey, you're not the one for our team. Are you willing to move to a different team to go and get that starting spot, or to be looked at from a different perspective? Like, making teams can be quite fickle, because you do have a coach, and at the end of the day it is them. You do have a team, and you might not gel, so you got to be willing to go outside of what's comfortable for you to make it, and exhaust all avenues. Have you actually gone and done everything and tried everywhere, or have you just didn't make that team, so you're like, oh, it's all good? Like, I'm a big believer in things that will happen for you. You have to make it happen, if that makes sense. It's not going to get handed to you on a platter every time. So yeah, that's my biggest advice, is when the first door closes, don't just be like, that's it, I'm going back to my room. Go knock on all the doors, give everything a shot. And also, like, don't be hard on yourself for whatever team you do make. There's lots of opportunities out there. I'm like sounding like I'm contradicting myself. There's lots of opportunities out there, but there also isn't. And it also does take, like, it's special if you make something. So remember that every single team, every single spot is special. Not just an NRLW contract. If you're in Burleigh Bears, if you're in Tweed, if you're in your local club team, Southport Tigers, that's special. That's cool. That's an opportunity that someone else doesn't have. Yeah. So.
I spoke about this with a friend the other day, actually, last week. One of my regrets, not saying it would have made it in any sense, I really wish that I changed clubs. I sort of hit my ceiling. I played the same club from under 6s to then 20s, and I was sort of having a crack in a little bit of A grade, but I just wasn't being seen in the same light. And I had three opportunities to go to different clubs, and I just didn't want to, but two, I was sort of past. I was like, oh, it's too late, sort of thing. So I wish I'd tried different things. Only A grade, it was only like sort of club footy, but still it was sort of just having the opportunity and trying new things. All my friends were at the same club. I was changing clubs sound like the scariest thing ever, and I think it's important. I wish I did hard things earlier and got uncomfortable earlier. That was definitely something that I didn't do enough, and it's taken me to probably last few years to realize that if you just do hard things for a long period of time, things you don't want to do, you'll probably start to see results. Not straight away, but eventually. So, yeah, definitely agree with that advice. What do you think makes a champion? You've played in some champion teams, had champions, coaches, champion players. What makes a champion?
Wow, that's a tough question. I think there's a lot of things that make a champion, but at the end of the day, it's you. You make the champion. Like, you're the one who has to get up. You're the one who has to sacrifice time or family. You're the one who has to get on the line, run those extra shuttles when the coach is yelling and you don't want to. You're the one who has to have anxiety leading into a campaign, or because you know how hard it's going to be. You're the one that's in your head in those days, in those moments, that is the do or die. So at the end of the day, it's up to you. You're the champion. So I've been a champion for myself for a long time. So I'm the one, when I could have given up, I'm the one in my head saying, go one more. Stay with these young girls. You've got them. You deserve the spot. You're going to work so hard in this off season so that you come back better. You're going to say no to this shit food. You're going to say no to this alcohol, because you know you're going to be in a better place when you come back. So I think there's definitely, like, by no means a lot of things that go into making a champion. You got to be in a great environment, culture, teammates who uplift you, but also can have hard conversations with you, coaches who are open, honest. But But at the end of the family who's very supportive, that's a massive one too. But at the end of the day, it's you. Like you're the champion. That's just what I think. My biggest critic and my biggest supporter is me. Yeah.
Talk about family. Is that your husband on your shirt there?
Yes.
Yeah. Give him a shout out.
This is my husband, so Niall Guthrie.
Yeah. How's he been for you?
Don't make me cry. We got these made for his birthday the other day. And it's funny because my kids and my husband always walk around and they've got shirts of me. And just like when I think about all the things he's done, I'm like, and I've got photos of him just being dad, and here when we got married. Like to me, that's like the greatest things ever he's done too, besides playing for New Zealand for touch, for Samoa, for league. Like he's done all these amazing things too. He's just been like, he's been that guy. He's that guy that through everything that fucking I've put him through too, he's always been the one consistent thing in my life. We met, it's 18 years this year we've been together.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Married, I think this is our 4th year married. God, I should know that. But yeah, he's just been massive, and I always say like, gosh, if I had to pay him the money for being my counsellor, he'd be a millionaire. And I'm going to tell you right now, every single athlete knows this, and it doesn't even just have to be an athlete, it's just work or whatever, but everybody knows, no matter what goes on, when you go home, your significant other, that's who you can be your honest, truthful self with, and you can have a moan, have a bitch, have a cry, and then you can also tell the truth and say all this stuff, and they put on the hat that best suits that moment, and they help you get through it. And he's helped me he's definitely been like my biggest supporter, like, you can do this, you can get through it. And then he's also been like, bro, you need to get off your high horse and you need to fucking do some work and you need to do this and blah, blah, blah. So he's my reality check, but he's also the calm behind the storm, and he's just, I can't speak more highly of him, and I'm so lucky to have him as my life partner and the father of my kids, because without him, I'll tell you right now, none of this would have been possible. Yeah.
Support is so important, I think. Made me actually appreciate my partner a little bit more. Yeah. Give her a little message after this and tell her that I appreciate it, because she does all those things as well. And sometimes I think we don't tell our partners how much we appreciate them, how much they do. So if anyone's watching, go do it right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you for coming on. Appreciate your time. Got a few more questions. What's the best advice that you've ever received?
The best advice I've ever received. Probably from my brother, Sonny Bill. He said to me one day, it was probably after an injury, I've had lots of them, but he said to me, just remember that all of this, footy and everything that comes with it, is the bonus. The true blessing in life is life and what you have outside of it. And once you can be content with that and understand that, everything just seems so much better. And I've lived by that from that day he told me that. And so when I did my neck, when all of that stuff happened, miss a tournament, I think at the end of the day, I've still got my husband, I've still got my kids, I've still got my family, I've still got people who love me. I still got my friends who have supported me before all the jerseys, during the jerseys, and when they've all been hung up. I've got friends and family, so that is my blessing. And all of that time the years I did that, it's all just a bonus in life. And so that really puts things into perspective for me. Yeah.
What do you think your superpower is? As in a strength you have that inside you, like, I'm really good at doing this.
Maybe just like being able to connect with people. My mum and dad really raised us to be always equals with everybody. You're never better or you're never lower than someone. You're just, and you can always offer something and they can always offer you something. So I've always taken into teams, into any conversations I have anywhere. I've always never like kissed ass, but I've never ever looked down on anybody. And I've always just talked to them like they're, we're one-to-one. And I think that's helped me big time in teams, connecting with players who are legends of the game, and also new players coming in who might see me as higher than them and putting them on the same level. So, yeah.
I think that I see that for sure. I think when you come into there, you can come into like our staff room and you just have a conversation, you yell with everyone where, it could be seen as you are, you've done some fantastic things, but you always have time for people. So I think that's definitely, and in the way you speak about like what your brothers have taught you and your family's taught you, I think you've had a good environment around you. So that's awesome to see. Do you want to give yourself a shout out? Anyone wants to follow you on social media and join the journey?
Well, that's the new thing, eh? The socials.
If you want to get the socials.
I'm past TikTok. I don't have TikTok. My kids probably thanking the world that I don't. I don't even know what my handle is. Is it? I think it's
Niall
Williams.
underscore.
Oh, is it underscore? I don't know where the underscore goes.
I'm sure if they type your name, it'll come up. Niall Williams Guthrie. Thank you. Appreciate your time. And yeah, you're doing some great things. I'm keen to see hopefully everything is good for the upcoming Titan season. And I'll see you at school Monday.
Yeah, let's go. Appreciate you, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you.